I told you I don't know what he is.
I don't believe you.
I want it to be simple.
Hey, it's gonna be my last wedding. I want it to be big. I just feel like I gotta do something. Ignore that feeling.
You owe me.
Tiff just put a bullet in Nuck's head, and the south side of Chicago will never, ever be the same again. We are 6 episodes into the final season of The Chi, and right now, everything is falling apart all at once. The 63rd Street mob has no leader, Reg is already making his move, and the truth about what Tiff and Victor did is slowly starting to surface. Episode 6 is titled, When Truth Thaws, and trust me, the thaw has already begun. So let's get into everything we know about Episode 6, titled, When Truth Thaws, dropping on Paramount Plus on June 26, 2026. And I have to be honest, that title alone is sending chills. Because after everything that exploded in Episode 5, the secrets buried at the heart of this story are finally starting to thaw out. And once they do, there is no putting them back. Nuck is dead. Tiff pulled the trigger. Victor helped make it happen. And now, the 2 people responsible for the biggest power shift of the entire season are walking straight into the most dangerous stretch of their lives, where one wrong move, one wrong look, or one wrong word could blow everything wide open. Let's start with what is easily the most volatile storyline heading into Episode 6, the complete power vacuum that Nuck's death has left behind inside the 63rd Street mob. Nuck was not just a member of that mob, he was its leader. He took over after killing Duda in the Season 6 finale, and for 2 full seasons, he ran those streets with a ruthless, calculated grip. Every major decision went through Nuck. Every major threat got handled by Nuck. And now he has just vanished without a word, and the only 2 people who know exactly why are Tiff and Victor. In the promo for Episode 6, we see Smitty and Big Mike coming directly to Tiff and asking about Nuck's whereabouts. And what makes this scene so tense is how completely calm Tiff stays. She tells them she has absolutely no idea where Nuck is. But here's what makes this so dangerous. Smitty is not just any mob member. Nuck specifically brought Smitty back into the fold because he trusted him completely. That kind of loyalty does not just switch off because someone goes quiet. I genuinely believe Smitty is going to be the first person inside that mob to start putting the pieces together. And the more time passes without Nuck showing up, the harder it is going to be for Tiff to hold her composure around someone who knew Nuck that well. And while Tiff is managing Smitty and Big Mike on one side, Victor is going to be the one trying to keep the bigger picture under control. Victor is experienced, he is calculated, he has seen how these situations spiral, and he knows better than anyone what needs to happen to protect both himself and Tiff. Because let us be very clear, Victor is not just covering for Tiff out of love. He was directly involved. He handed Tiff the information that led to Nuck's death. He was there. If the truth ever fully surfaces inside that mob, Victor does not just lose a relationship, he loses his life. Which is exactly why the promo moment showing Fatima growing suspicious of Victor is one of the most important things to pay attention to heading into this episode. Fatima knows Victor on a level that Smitty and Big Mike never will. She can feel when he is carrying something heavy, and no matter how experienced Victor is at handling street pressure, staying completely unreadable to someone who genuinely loves him is a completely different kind of challenge. Fatima is the quiet danger in this story, the crack in Victor's armor that no amount of street experience can fully protect against. Which brings us to the moment I think is going to define Episode 6. Because as tense as all of this is, it is actually not the mob or Fatima that worries me the most right now. It is Keisha. In the promo, we see Keisha telling Tiff that she is worried about Nuck, and Tiff immediately shuts the conversation down. That reaction alone says everything. And knowing how perceptive Keisha is, I think this is the exact moment where the truth starts to unravel from the inside. If Keisha senses something is wrong and brings it to Emmett, which she absolutely will now that they are engaged in building a life together, the circle of people who know the truth suddenly gets a lot bigger. And a secret this dangerous does not survive when it starts to spread. So here's the question that should be keeping all of us up at night right now. How long before the truth does not just thaw, but completely floods the entire South Side? Now let's talk about the storyline that I think is going to completely steal the spotlight in Episode 6, and that is Shaad's reaction to Nora's murder. Because if you thought the fallout from Nuck's death was going to be the most explosive thing heading into this episode, Nora's murder is about to make everything even messier. Let's not forget how this all went down. Roselyn paid Reg to kill Nora because Nora had changed her testimony and could now directly implicate Roselyn in Alicia's murder. Nora had already told Patience the truth before she was killed, but that doesn't bring her back. And for Shaad, who had already warned the people around him that Nora was in danger the moment she started telling the truth, watching that TV report confirming her death at the end of episode 5 had to hit like an absolute gut punch. He was right all along. And now the woman who was supposed to help clear his name is gone forever. What makes this even more devastating is just how personal this is for Shaad. This was not just a witness. This was someone directly tied to his freedom and to proving that he and Victor were innocent. Let's remember, Shaad and Victor spent the beginning of Season 8 behind bars as the main suspects in Alicia's murder, a crime they did not commit. They got out. But the legal battle was never truly over, and Nora's testimony was central to building their case. With her now dead, Shaad is not just grieving, he is furious. And a furious Shaad pointing a gun at someone in the episode 6 promo tells me everything I need to know about where his head is at right now. He is not in a place for patience or for politics. He wants revenge. And the most direct path to that revenge runs straight through Reg. This is where Victor's situation becomes truly agonizing. Because Victor is now caught between two worlds that are on a direct collision course. On one side, you have Shaad, his best friend, the person who has been by his side through everything, a man who is grieving and who absolutely deserves justice. On the other side, you have Reg, his brother, dangerous and self-destructive, a man who has burned nearly every bridge around him, but is still blood at the end of the day. Victor is going to have to make a choice in episode 6 that could define the entire back half of this final season. And honestly, I think the writing on the wall is already clear. Reg has been unraveling since the moment he returned to the South Side. He took Roselyn's money to kill a woman who was trying to do the right thing. He forced his way into the family house. He pushed Jake, the youngest of the brothers, someone who has genuinely been trying to build a legitimate life through his clothing brand, Cheese Seeds, completely to his breaking point. Reg is not someone Victor can protect forever. And deep down, I think Victor knows that better than anyone. And then there is the Jake piece of all this that I really do not think we can overlook. Jake standing up to Reg in episode 5 was one of the most quietly powerful moments of the entire season. Jake has been the most measured, most level-headed presence in this story from the very beginning. He has watched Reg dismantle everything around him since he came back, and his patience is fully exhausted. Jake is not a kid anymore. He is someone who has genuinely tried to walk away from the streets, and Reg keeps dragging him right back. Now, with Nuck gone and the 63rd Street mob suddenly without a clear leader, Reg is already positioning himself to fill that vacuum and tighten his grip on Chicago. And if Victor steps aside and chooses Shaad over Reg in episode 6, which I genuinely believe he will, Reg loses the very last thing that was holding him back from going completely off the rails. So here's the question you need to sit with going into this episode. If Victor walks away from Reg, and Reg takes full control of those streets with absolutely nothing left to lose, who on the South Side is actually prepared to stop him? Now let's talk about the person in this entire story who is sitting on the most dangerous ground of all going into episode 6, and that is Bakari. Because while everyone else is dealing with the immediate fallout from Nuck's death, Bakari is carrying something that nobody else in this story is carrying. He was Nuck's number 2. He was in the room. He protected Nuck's secrets for years when he should have spoken up. And now, with Nuck dead and Tiff believing she has finally gotten justice, Bakari is walking around with information that could completely reframe everything Tiff thinks she just accomplished. Multiple reports confirmed it directly. Bakari is now the only person who can shatter Nuck and Tiff's eyes with just a single secret. That is an enormous amount of power and an enormous amount of danger, sitting on one person's shoulders at the same time. And the terrifying thing about Bakari's position is that he does not even have to say a word for it to start destroying him. Just being the person who knew is enough to make him a target once the right people start connecting the dots. And here's what makes Bakari's situation even more complicated heading into this episode. By the end of episode 5, Bakari had already been cut off from the mob's inner circle after his falling out with Nuck. He had settled into new jobs, trying to build something legitimate for himself. He had even started working his way back toward Lena, who let him back into her life but with conditions after everything he put her through. But at the same time, Reg had already pulled Bakari into moving pills for him back in episode 3, making a promise that it was a one-time deal. And anyone who watches this show knows exactly how those promises tend to end. Jake even tried to get Bakari off Reg's books in episode 5, but Reg refused because Bakari was making him money. And Reg does not let go of anything that is working for him. So right now, Bakari is completely trapped. He is caught between the legitimate life he is desperately trying to build with Lena and the street ties to Reg that he cannot seem to shake. With Nuck gone and Reg moving to grab as much power as he can, that grip on Bakari is only going to get tighter. And if Bakari cannot find a way out fast, he is going to end up being used as a piece in someone else's war. And that war does not care about the future he is trying to save. Now let's talk about the engagement party, because the contrast at the center of episode 6 is almost impossible to wrap your head around. On one side, you have Tiff hosting a lavish party celebrating Emmett and Keisha's engagement. Champagne, joy, and love on full display. And every single bit of that celebration is being hosted by the same woman who put a bullet in someone's head just days before. That level of composure is either incredibly impressive or incredibly unsettling, and honestly, I think it is both. Let's not forget how beautiful that proposal moment actually was. Emmett got down on one knee using his late mother Jada's engagement ring, while Keisha simultaneously pulled out an expensive watch to propose to him. Both of them had been planning the same thing without even knowing it. It was funny, it was tender, and it was exactly what this show needed in the middle of so much darkness. But now, watching that love be celebrated at a party thrown by Tiff, while Tiff is internally carrying the full weight of what she just did, is going to create one of the most emotionally layered scenes this final season has delivered. The official synopsis tells us that Emmett and Keisha will discover some real differences in what they want their wedding to look like. And I think that tension, as real as it is only the surface of what this party is actually going to surface. And we cannot close this section without talking about the name that has been hanging over every single storyline all season long, Roselyn. She is still free. She is still pulling strings from the shadows. She already paid Reg to have Nora killed just to protect herself from being implicated in Alicia's murder. But here is the detail that changes everything. Nora already told Patience the truth about Roselyn before she was killed. That information is out there. Patience has it. And with only 4 episodes left in the entire series after this one, the window for Roselyn to quietly finish tying up her loose ends is closing fast. With Nuck now gone and the street power structure that was holding a full Southside war at bay completely collapsed, Roselyn is about to find herself in the spotlight whether she is ready for it or not. Every secret on this Southside is thawing at the exact same time. Every loose thread is getting pulled at once, and by the time episode 6 is done, nothing is going to look the way it did before. So here's the question that should be burning in the back of every fan's mind right now. With Roselyn still free, Reg on the rise, Bakari one conversation away from blowing everything up, and the truth already spreading from person to person like a wildfire, who on this entire South Side actually makes it to the finale with their life, their freedom, and the people they love still intact?